Astrology is a part of spiritual philosophy. November 8, 2018. Shri Parikshit Bog asked, is an individual responsible for his or her own actions, or is the individual bound by planetary influences? As per the great sages like Parashara, Jaimini, Varahamihira, every human being is affected by planetary movements in every conceivable aspect of life. That's how Hindu astrology came into being. There are planets and houses governing each and every sphere of life. The question then arises, if every individual is bound by the effects of the planets and the nakshatras, then obviously all his thoughts and actions are the result of heavenly movements. In that case, he merely does what the influencing planet wants him to do. Then what is karma? Why is the individual punished or rewarded for his actions for which he is not even responsible? Either there is no concept of karma or there is no astrology. Could you please clarify this point? Pranams at your divine lotus feet. Swami replied, O learned and devoted servants of God, astrology is a part of spiritual philosophy which is the subject of God, although it's often misunderstood to be a field unrelated to the subject of God. You must also distinguish between astronomy and astrology. Astronomy deals with the inert planets that we see in the sky. Astrology deals with the subject of the presiding deities of these planets, which control the administration of the world. Your house is like the inert physical planet, whereas you, the house owner, having awareness, are like the presiding deity. The planet is made of energy and matter. The presiding deity is an energetic being having an energetic body and a soul, which is awareness. The deity also possesses the necessary unimaginable powers granted by God for carrying out the administration of the world. The planet is visible to our eyes, whereas the presiding deity is invisible to our eyes. The 9 planets considered in astrology belong to the category of energy and matter. The respective presiding deities of the planets belong to the category of awareness or soul. They are divine beings having invisible energetic bodies and souls, and they possess some unimaginable powers. Whenever someone refers to the moon, we only understand it in the sense of the inert moon, which is a satellite of the earth. We laugh when we are told that the moon controls our mind. Here we are missing the point that the statement refers to Chandra, who is the presiding deity of the inert moon. In Sanskrit and most Indian languages, the same word Chandra is used to indicate both the inert moon as well as the presiding deity of the moon. It is said that Chandra or the moon controls the mind. When used in this sense of controlling the mind, Chandra means the presiding deity and not the inert moon in the sky. The same applies to all other astrological planets. The names of the inert planets are the same as the names of their presiding deities. Atheistic scientists mock at the field of astrology since they are not able to distinguish between the inert planet and its presiding deity. Even if they were explained about the difference between the two, it would be of no use since they do not believe in the existence of the presiding deities of the inert planets. Officers in the divine administration. The 9 planets are the personification of various unimaginable powers of the unimaginable God. They form the various specialized departments in the administrative office of God, and they carry out their respective function in the administration of the world. Being the unimaginable powers of God themselves, the planets are not different from the unimaginable God qualitatively, even though they are different quantitatively. This means that the planet has a part of the unimaginable power of God and is completely controlled by God like an employed officer. The planet controls a specific aspect of the soul and the rest of the world. Hence, the planet can be assumed and treated to be part of God Himself. The system of planets ruling the world under the orders of God can be compared to the secretariat of the chief minister ruling the state under the orders of the chief minister. This Secretariat of God has different departments, each dealing with a specific aspect of the world and of the souls residing in the world. The entire administration follows the constitution of God. The presiding deity of a planet is called a Graha in Sanskrit. Graha commonly means the inert physical planet. But the word planet, Graha, when used in astrology, means the presiding deity of that planet. Graha, in the sense of its root word, means that which catches. Gruhnati iti graha. It actually means the energetic divine being who is an embodiment of a certain unimaginable power and who catches the soul. The presiding deity of the planet, the Graha, catches the soul to deliver the rewards of the soul's good deeds and the punishments of the sins at the exact stipulated time. The human soul can never escape from being caught by the presiding deities of the planets, however much the soul may try. Above these planets exist 8 higher divine officers called Ashtadigpalakas. They are Indra, Agni, Yama, Nirruti, Varuna, Vayu, Kubera, and Ishana. Above them exist the 5 principal authorities called the Panchalokapalakas. They are Ganapati, Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva, and Shakti. All of them are energetic beings associated with unimaginable powers of God, and all of them are invisible to human beings. Planets deliver the fruits of the soul's deeds. Astrology helps a person to accept the existence of God. It helps souls experience the unimaginable powers of God that control various aspects of the life of any living being. When souls receive the fruits of their deeds, they realize the existence of the unimaginable powers of God. The existence of God's unimaginable powers ultimately establishes the existence of the unimaginable God, who is the source and controller of those powers. This case is similar to the case of miracles establishing the existence of God. Witnessing the unimaginable miracles in the world establishes the existence of the unimaginable power of God, which in turn establishes the existence of its source. This ultimate source of the unimaginable power is the unimaginable God or Parabrahman. Hence, astrology should not be treated as a field that is independent of spiritual philosophy. Some astrologers, eliminating God, treat the 9 planets to be the most supreme powers. They treat them to be the highest authorities, like a board of directors in a company. Actually, God is the supreme authority and He controls all the presiding deities of the planets. These planets only work under the orders of their chief boss called God. It's a total misunderstanding that planets give some results due to their movements. The planets do not give accidental results by their mere movements. The results that the planets give to souls are only the fruits of the deeds of those souls. The movements of the planets are just incidental in giving the fruits of the deeds of the soul. A thief says that he was arrested by a policeman who was walking on the road, since he, the thief, went on that road. This is absurd. The fellow had committed a crime of theft, and the policemen were already searching for him. This search for the sinner is expressed as the movement of the planets. Actually, in the real concept, the planet, that is the deity of the planet, need not even search for the sinner. The planet has unimaginable power to locate the sinner on the stipulated date at the stipulated time. Philosophers and scholars say that God punished the sinner. Ordinary people say that planets punished the sinner. Both are one and the same. It is one and the same whether one says that the government or the chief minister punished the criminal, or whether one says that the police punished the criminal. Some astrologers feel that the whole administration functions due to the governance of this board of 9 directors called the planets. For these astrologers, God is irrelevant and they act like atheists. But since they accept the existence of the unimaginable power of the planet in doing its administrative duty, they are theists indirectly. The difference between astrologers and priests arose due to the difference in their business activity. The priest says that your difficulty will be removed if you worship God. The astrologer says that your difficulty will be removed if you worship the planet. It is just a difference between their ways of earning money from people. A partnership in business also exists between the astrologers and the priests. The astrologer sometimes says that a certain planet should be worshipped with the help of the priest. Thus, a partnership business is established. The doctor writes a prescription for several tests to be conducted in diagnostic laboratories and receives a commission from the laboratories. Business and the cheating of the innocent public have spread everywhere. People want to earn money illegally, but they do not realize that it will only lead to the destruction of themselves and their families in the course of time. Shri Swami's father, a great astrologer. My father was a very famous astrologer. He never said that the planet should be worshipped through a priest. He always advised the clients to directly perform the worship of the planets on their own. The priest will not have much interest in your issues because the attention of many priests is only on the remuneration that you will give to them. So my father always advised people to worship the forms of God which preside the planets as per Jaimini Sutras. Note that the inert planet has a presiding deity by the same name of the planet, but that presiding deity of the planet is also presided over by higher divine beings and forms of God. For instance, God Vishnu presides over sun. Here sun means the presiding deity of the inert sun. Similarly, Goddess Lakshmi presides over moon and Venus. God Shiva presides over Jupiter. God Vishnu presides over Mercury and Saturn. God Skanda or Subramanya presides over Mars, Rahu and Ketu. Goddess Durga also presides over Rahu and Ketu. In this manner, my father would introduce devotion to God through astrology. Another remedy suggested by him was the distribution of food items to beggars. The food items to be distributed are made from grains that are specific to each planet. For example, wheat is for sun, rice is for moon, red gram is for Mars, and so on. This remedy encourages donation to the poor. If anybody offered money to my father, he would refuse it, saying that he is already getting a salary from the college where he worked as a lecturer of Telugu and Sanskrit. He used to say that since he is not rich, he is performing this free service to earn the grace of God with the help of his brain. If such an attitude exists in every astrologer, society will be reformed shortly. At least astrologers and priests should not demand money from their customers. They should accept whatever is given by the customer. Due to this selfless service, every prediction made by my father would come true due to the grace of God. There would always be a lot of rush of people before my house, waiting for the consultation with my father. The death of my father was also wonderful. On Vyasa Purnima, which is also known as Guru Purnima, he took a bath in the evening, worshipped God as usual, gave his astrological consultations to all his clients, and then suddenly breathed his last at 7 p.m. upon seeing the full moon. My mother too never pressed my father for earning more money, even though several other astrologers were earning a lot. Due to this, my mother also breathed her last upon seeing the full moon at 7 p.m. on Ashviyuja Purnima, which comes just after Vijayadashmi, the festival of the Divine Mother. She passed away holding a small picture of God Datta in her closed hand. Avoid mixing astronomy with astrology. The concepts of astronomy should not be confused with the concepts of astrology. The eclipse of the sun and the moon are astronomical events and not astrological events. Priests who are supported by astrologers extend their concepts to the field of astronomy, saying that you should not eat food during the time of an eclipse. If the astronomer mocks at the priest and the astrologer for this unduly extended concept, there's no harm. But if the astronomer is an atheist, and due to his atheism proceeds to mock at the presiding deities of the planets, he will surely face punishment for it. This punishment received by such atheists is again misinterpreted by the priest, who is supported by the astrologer. They again extend their concept of God's punishment to the field of astronomy by saying that the punishment received by the atheist came because of eating food during the forbidden time of the eclipse. In reality, the punishment was for mocking at the planetary deity and God. Even if you speak against the planet, the deity of the planet, you have insulted God, since the planet is part and parcel of God's power. Punishments are cancelled upon reformation, not by worship. Now let's take the issue raised by you. You're wondering how the punishments for one's sins, which come in the form of worldly problems, get cancelled by worshipping the planets or God. Are we trying to flatter the planets or God so that we can be excused from the punishment? In that case, a criminal would only have to flatter the judge and get his punishment reduced or cancelled. Does God cancel the punishments of sin by such flattering worship and prayers? Absolutely not. This concept is totally wrong. When you worship God or the planet, God merely postpones your sin to a later period of time with increased interest. You think that God has cancelled your punishment because you are unable to differentiate between postponement and cancellation. After removing your immediate difficulty through this postponement, He also gives you the benefit for which you had prayed. Receiving the desired benefit gives you happiness. You think that God gave you your desired benefit due to your talented and well-acted flattery in your prayers, even though you have not done any good deed. Again, this concept is also wrong. God prematurely withdrew the fruit of one of your good deeds, which was supposed to be enjoyed by you in the future. That future benefit is granted to you in the present time in the form desired by you. But in this premature withdrawal, there's a loss in the value of the benefit. It's like the premature withdrawal of a bank deposit in which there is a reduction in its value. Actually, God arranges the punishments for our bad deeds and the rewards for our good deeds in an alternating manner in each of our life cycles. In this arrangement, the actual sequence when we perform the good and the bad deeds is neglected. This alternating arrangement gives maximum enjoyment to us. One gets maximum enjoyment on tasting sweet and hot dishes in an alternate manner. If one eats only sweet dishes one after the other, or only hot and spicy dishes one after the other, one gets bored. The sweet dishes are like the good fruits and the hot dishes are like the bad fruits. The alternate arrangement made by God in every lifetime for our maximum enjoyment is a favor done by God, the Father, who has boundless love for His children's, us souls. By praying to God to remove present problems and give some benefits, we are praying for God to reduce our enjoyment. God, in His infinite wisdom and kindness, has already made the best possible arrangement of the fruits of our deeds, which will provide us with maximum enjoyment and benefit. By such prayers, we are only proving our own foolishness. God is not a fool to be flattered like a king by poets in His court. The question comes as to why God is cheating us like this. We pray to Him to remove our problems and give us our desired benefits. But He merely prepones and postpones some of our fruits, which causes a loss to us. Of course, the straight answer to the question is that you tried to cheat Him through your flattery, so you are being cheated in return. But apart from this simple answer, there's another point. Even though you are cheated by God in return for your cheating, the rearrangement of the fruits of your deeds has a beneficial angle. You will develop a lot of faith and devotion to God due to it. since you do not know the actual background or rearrangement that God has done. You think that God did both these favors to you even though you did not deserve them. You think that God removed your present punishment, which as per the rule must be suffered by you. And God also granted you a good fruit even though you had not done any good deed from your side. Even though it's a crooked path in which you get undeserved favors from God, it gradually increases your faith and devotion in God. When your devotion increases sufficiently, you may get spiritual knowledge from God. The spiritual knowledge is the only solution that will reform you permanently. Once you have reformed permanently, there's no further need to punish you. So all the pending punishments which had been postponed from previous births and have grown in interest will be cancelled. The logic behind the cancellation of the pending punishments is that punishment is only meant for reformation and not for revenge. As a lawyer, you will understand all this legal procedure of the divine constitution. Hence, worshipping God does not in any way interfere with the doctrine of the cycle of deeds and fruits, which is known as the cycle of karma. Lord Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita that propagating divine spiritual knowledge pleases the Lord greatly. Jnana yajnena tenaham. Spiritual knowledge brings about permanent harmony and peace in the world. So join us in sharing this universal divine knowledge of Lord Datta and earn the highest grace of God.